For more on Biden's visit with members of the Quad, let's turn to Harlan Ullman, the chair of the Killowen Group and senior advisor of the Atlantic Council. Harlan, welcome to the program. How much do you believe this Quad meeting was really overshadowed by all the confusion over Biden's Taiwan comments the day before and then all the backpedaling?
Asieh, it's good to be with you. I think quite the opposite. I think if Biden had not made that statement of yes, the United States will militarily support Taiwan, I think the Quad would have just have been a very, very straightforward meeting with no publicity. Now, I'm not sure whether Joe Biden did that as a slip of the tongue, not understanding that militarily meant not necessarily landing forces to support Taiwan, but providing military equipment. But certainly this rattled everybody. And I'm sure there's not going to be any change in policy. But I think this brought home to the Quad, and particularly to India, that what's going on in Ukraine is bad. And it probably caused India to take a second look about what China is going to be doing. This also rattled some people in Beijing as well. Now, whether the Biden administration can follow up on what I think was an opening caused by what could be a slip of the tongue or not remains to be seen. But had he not said what he did, Asieh, I think that the Quad meeting would not have gotten much publicity.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about India, which is finding itself in an interesting position, the only Quad member that has not condemned Russian invasion and war. Is that in any way going to impact relations with all these other Quad members, Japan, Australia, United States? And I guess my second question, Harlan, even a more important question here is, can India perhaps play a constructive role in trying to end this conflict because of its close relationship with Russia?
Bang, you hit the nail on the head, Asieh, in the second point. Perhaps India could be a mediator in all this. Whether or not the Biden administration will be able to pick up to it with that, whether President Modi might be able to do something remains to be seen. But look, the war in Ukraine has got to be stopped. Bloodletting on both sides, particularly with the Ukrainian people, but the Russian army is getting badly, badly mauled. And that could really trap Putin into throwing more into the war or doing something that really might be even more outrageous. So perhaps there's an opening. It's not much of an opening at this stage, but at least it's one opening. I would hope the administration and White House will consider what it's been able to do on its trip to the Pacific and how it's going to follow up. I would see this as an opening to deal with China. I myself would have recommended ending these tariffs and this tariff war with China, which was nonsensical, put in place by Donald Trump for the wrong reasons. Now, the president will be accused of appeasing China, but this tariff war is hurting us more than it is hurting China. And quite frankly, China right now with COVID is in a real mess. How much its economy is going to be hurt remains to be seen. How long it can keep cities like Shanghai locked down are real issues. And so I think this is an opportunity here to see if we cannot use creative diplomacy. My problem, however, Asieh, is this. Biden is so torn with domestic politics. A whole number of elections, as you know, in terms of choosing candidates for November. Inflation, is there going to be a recurrence of COVID? Gasoline prices, the border, all these are really huge issues. And whether or not the president has the bandwidth to be creative in Asia or not, he certainly has some very good people who could. And I would just hope that we see this as an opening that can have far-reaching consequences, not only with China and Asia, but also possibly with Ukraine and Russia.
And finally, Harlan, I want to ask you about Australia's new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. What do you make of his win? This was his first time on the world stage since winning the election on Saturday. Do you expect any sort of foreign policy shift from this new administration in Australia?
First of all, there should be no surprise that these things happen. He, of course, comes from Labor. My guess is there may be some kind of a softening towards China because of the trade issue. And the Australian, UK, US agreement for the nuclear submarine, which I always have doubted would lead to production of nuclear submarines for any number of reasons, may be slowed down a bit. But my guess is that the new prime minister will be certainly friendly towards the United States and to a lot of things the United States stands for. And it may lead possibly, and I say possibly, to a softening with relations with China. Of course, the big issue here is the environment, climate change, and China right now is one of the main abusers of climate. So whether that will complicate the new prime minister's stand or not remains to be seen.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Harlan Ullman, thank you very much.